Before I signed, Your Honor, I had one final statement to make. The air in the courtroom grew thick. My husband, Richard, was already leaning back in his chair with that smug, relaxed posture he'd perfected over the last year of our divorce proceedings. His lawyer, a sleek barracuda named Eleanor Vance, had just slid the final settlement across the table for my signature. The document that would grant him our penthouse apartment, the portfolio, the overseas assets, and sole guardianship of our twin daughters, with me paying him $5,500 a month in spousal and child support for the next 15 years. Do the math. That's just shy of $1 million. I was supposed to sign. I was supposed to accept that my career-focused years had somehow made me the lesser parent. I was supposed to leave with nothing but my clothing and a broken heart. That's what they had orchestrated. That is not what happened. Objection, Your Honor. I have a matter of relevance that must be addressed before this proceeding can conclude. Judge Eris Thorne peered over his glasses, his expression of weary impatience. Miss Thorne Maxwell, you've had ample time for objections. We are at the signing phase. I understand, Your Honor, but this information pertains to fundamental fraud regarding the core of this settlement's custody arrangements. It came to light 48 hours ago. The word fraud did its work. Richard's smugness solidified into a mask of confusion, then a flicker of something darker. Eleanor Vance was on her feet. Your Honor, this is a transparent stall tactic. The agreement is binding, and my client has been more than generous. Generosity built on a foundation of lies, Your Honor, I said, my voice steady. I reached into my briefcase, not for a manila envelope, but for a sleek tablet. I'd had the documents printed, but the digital copies were more damning. This device contains the results of a comprehensive genealogical and maternity DNA analysis. Maternity? Richard barked a laugh, but it was hollow. What in God's name are you talking about, Alana? I ignored him, addressing the judge. Your Honor, I am submitting evidence that I am not the biological mother of the twin girls, Isla and Sloane, born in March of 2017, whom this settlement assigns to my husband's sole custody and for whom I am expected to pay. The silence was absolute. My own lawyer, a kind but overworked man named Ben, who had urged me to settle, looked at me as if I'd grown a second head. I hadn't told him. Some truths are too volatile to share until the precise moment of detonation. Judge Thorne took the tablet, scrolling. His eyes moved rapidly. These are from GenPath Labs, a fully accredited facility. They show a 0% genetic match between you and the children. He looked up, first at me, then at Richard. Mr. Maxwell, what is the meaning of this? Richard had gone pale. This is insane. She carried them. I was there. We have photos, medical records. I carried them, I confirmed, my eyes locked on the judge. But they were not my eggs. They were the product of donor eggs, fertilized by my husband's sperm and implanted in me under the false pretense that I was their biological mother. The story really began 72 hours earlier in a sterile conference room at GenPath. The genetic counselor, a woman with gentle eyes named Dr. Evans, had laid out the results. I'd come seeking answers about a rare genetic marker in my family, wanting a baseline for the girls. What I got was an existential earthquake. The results are conclusive, Miss Thorne Maxwell. There is no biological relation between you and the twins. The mitochondrial DNA, which is always inherited from the mother, is entirely disparate from yours. How is that possible? I gave birth to them. The only medical explanation is that the eggs used in your IVF procedure were not yours. Do you recall signing donor forms? I remembered the IVF, the hormones, the hope, the profound joy at the positive test. Richard had handled all the paperwork at the fertility clinic. He said it was his contribution, so I could focus on the pregnancy. Dr. Evans's expression was pitying. I see. The clinic in question, New Dawn Fertility, has a complicated history. It was shut down 2 years ago for record falsification and donor coercion scandals. The pieces, jagged and horrifying, began to click. Richard's insistence on that specific clinic, his sudden intense desire for twins, his controlling behavior during the pregnancy, monitoring every appointment. He hadn't been a protective would-be father. He'd been a project manager safeguarding his investment. Who? I asked, my throat tight. Who are they? The donor? Dr. Evans pulled another report. Based on the genetic markers and cross-referencing with donor databases that were leaked after the scandal, the egg donor is a woman named Gabriella Rossi. The name meant nothing. Then it did. Gabriella, the brilliant, beautiful Italian intern who had worked under Richard at his architectural firm 6 years ago. The one he'd always insisted was just a prodigy, the one he'd mentored, the one who had abruptly returned to Milan after a family emergency, right around the time our IVF cycle began. He used her eggs, I whispered. He chose her, specifically. It appears so, and I must tell you, the twins' genetic profile also shows something else. She hesitated. They are not genetically related to each other. They're fraternal, that's normal. No, I mean they are half-siblings. They share a biological father, your husband, but have 2 different biological mothers. The second donor is listed as a woman named Chloe Anderson. Chloe, the yoga instructor, the one Richard said helped him with his back. The serene, flexible, endlessly patient Chloe who had disappeared to a silent retreat in California around the same time as Gabriella's departure. He hadn't just used donor eggs, he had curated them, selected 2 different women whose traits he admired, perhaps even desired, and bred his own ideal progeny, using my body as the incubator. Our marriage, our family, was his bespoke design, a lie constructed gene by gene. I was a 44-year-old partner at a venture capital firm. I met Richard Maxwell at a gallery opening. He was 42, charismatic, an architect with a vision. He loved the idea of a power couple. I loved the man I thought he was. Ambitious, yes, but deeply loyal. We married in 2015. When we struggled to conceive, he was the one who suggested IVF, who found New Dawn, who shouldered the burden of the details. You just focus on growing our babies, he'd said, kissing my forehead. Isla and Sloan were born. I poured myself into them, even as my career demanded brutal hours. Richard gradually took over more of the home front, positioning himself as the primary caregiver. It was the setup for his masterpiece. In the divorce, he would get the children he engineered and force me to finance their upbringing, all while painting me as the absentee workaholic mother. In the courtroom, Judge Thorne's face was a storm. Mr. Maxwell, did you or did you not knowingly use donor eggs from 2 different women in the IVF procedure without your wife's consent or knowledge? It was a medical necessity, Richard sputtered. Her eggs were suboptimal. The doctor said, "The consent forms," I interrupted coldly, pulling another sheet from my briefcase. I obtained my full medical file from New Dawn through a court order. This is the forged signature on the donor egg consent form. A handwriting expert has already verified it is not mine. This is the notary stamp from a notary who was deceased at the time of signing. This is fraud, medical fraud, and reproductive coercion. Eleanor Vance was silently scrolling through the digital documents on her own device, her face ashen. She was good, but she wasn't a magician. You can't defend the indefensible. "The children," Richard finally choked out. "They call you Mom. You change their diapers. You can't just reject them because of a technicality." I turned to him, the fury I had suppressed for days finally giving my voice heat. "I am not rejecting them. You rejected the truth. You rejected our real marriage. You turned me into a vessel for your narcissistic fantasy. I love those girls more than my own life, but I will not be legally and financially bound by a contract built on your criminal deception."
I faced the judge again. Your Honor, I am petitioning to have the entire settlement voided due to fraud. I seek shared legal custody because I am their mother in every sense that has ever mattered to them, but I cannot accept a ruling based on the fiction of my biological maternity, which was the cornerstone of my husband's custody argument. Furthermore, I request the court refer this matter to the district attorney for investigation into reproductive fraud and forgery. The gavel crashed. The signing is suspended. This court is adjourned for 2 hours. Counsel, my chambers, now. I sat on a bench outside the courtroom, my entire body trembling. Ben sat beside me, stunned. Alana, why didn't you tell me? Because you would have tried to talk me out of it. You would have said it was too nuclear, that it would hurt the girls. It will, he said softly. Not knowing the truth hurts them more.